Jivan Sadhana, a noble art of living. Audio number 2. Pranam to everyone. Chapter 4. O God, may you protect my lifespan. May you protect my pran, apan, and vyan life currents. May you protect my eyes and ears. May you enrich my voice and make my mind contented. May you protect my soul and bestow life on me. Yajurved. Good health is the pivot of Jivan Sadhana. Any kind of progress, temporal or spiritual, is conditional on vibrant health. Money, fame, power, knowledge, and even tap all depend on it. But in spite of this being a common knowledge, most of the most of the people are casual about it, with varying excuses and justifications. Some are too busy to care for health, while some lay the blame on circumstances. What is surprising is that even the spiritual seekers are often found negligent about their health in the name of tap. In reality, the root cause of neglecting health is the lack of a holistic vision of life. Most of the people are in such a tearing hurry to arrive or get more and more that they do not have time to pause and think about their bodily well being. By the time they come to their senses, it is too late and they are trapped in the vicious cycle of diseases. Their vitality has ebbed and they are reduced to the pitiable plight of the lamp, which is on the verge of extinction for want of oil. Now nothing helps, not even the things which they had been acquiring so far at the cost of health. The very continuance of life becomes a pain. The modern age is witnessing an increasing lack of self control. People's craving for sense indulgence, their madness for pleasures of all sorts is increasing by the day, and this, in turn, is devastating their health. The wise are aware of the truth that lack of self control is akin to playing holy with one's own blood. At first, the sport appears enticing, the bright red spurs one on and on to ever more rounds of carnal pleasures until soon the situation becomes grave and vicious. Incontinence of different kind gives birth to diseases of all sorts. These diseases impose many restrictions and prohibitions on the future life pattern, but to the habits long formed, no restriction is either palatable or implementable. As a result, life becomes a nightmare, being slowly ground between the two wheels of mental agony and physical pain. Sometimes, in the name of tap and sadhana, the body and health are subjected to such severities that the very edifice begins to crumble. The irony is that even the spiritual powers which had been sought prove a chimera. The only gain is a show of pretense, where the practitioner gets slowly ruined and the audience bored. Castigating these cruelties to the body in the name of tap, Yogeshwar Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the ignoramuses, the ignoramuses who enfeeble both the elements existing in the corporeal form and also me, the cosmic spirit indwelling the inner self, consider them as of demonic disposition, O Arjuna. The true spiritual life is a sattvic, simple and pious lifestyle. It is the confluence of Sanyam, Sadhana, and Seva, self-control, self-awakening, and service. A grand experiment in purification of thoughts and emotions, irregular eating. It is the confluence of Sanyam, Sadhana, and Seva, self-control, self-awakening, and service. A grand experiment in purification of thoughts and emotions. Irregular eating and random fasting cannot be called tap. There is an instructive story in this connection in Buddhist Jatak tales. Once Prince Prashravana came to Bhagwan Tathagat to learn Jivan Sadhana. Bhagwan preached to the visiting sadhakas at specific times only. This time varied for each sadhak, depending on his inner state. Prince Prashravana had to wait for some time. Meanwhile, he began fasting of his own accord. Starvation combined with haphazard daily routine took a heavy toll on his health. He fell victim to many ailments too. Now Tathagat called him and taught him the precept of middle path. Son, you are an accomplished veena player. Tell me, when does the right music come out of veena? Prince replied, Bhagwan, when the strings of veena are in perfect tension, if the strings are loose or taut, even slightly more than required, the right note cannot be produced by the veena. The Buddha smiled at this reply and said affectionately, Son, this is true of Jivan Sadhana too. The sweet melody of life resonates neither in excessive indulgences nor in extreme rigors. Both these conditions can generate inharmony and disorder only. The music of life is produced on the instrument of Sanyam or self-control, which consists in avoiding the extremes and adopting moderation. These words of the Buddha enlightened Prashravana, and he realized that neglect of health is no recipe for Jivan Sadhana. It does not produce melodious music in Jivan Veena. For sound health, one has to bring about harmony between the body, mind, and soul, and use judgment and discrimination to make life holistic and balanced. Regulating and refining the daily routine is the first step in this direction. Chapter 5. Tapa and Vrata bring order into life. The Supreme Being by whose grace the self-realized, after discarding their mortal bodies, have attained to the elixir of moksha or salvation by the grace of that Supreme Being, and by Vrat and Tap, we seekers of glory will also attain to the transcendental abode. Atharva Veda. Regulating the daily routine not only improves health but also imparts a certain glow to the whole Jivan Sadhana. The daily routine may appear to constitute a small aspect of life, but on a deeper look we find a reflection of the whole gamut of life in it. The values of life, its aims, directions, ideals, goal, everything we can glimpse in the daily routine. One whose day-to-day life is haphazard and disorderly remains confused and aimless in the larger scheme of life too. This is a cardinal truth, whatever arguments and excuses to the contrary may be proffered. An organized routine ensures refinement and priming of the energies of the body, mind, and soul, and their application in a specific direction. It is important to distinguish that order or organization does not merely mean the existence of a particular condition. The indication of a particular direction too is implicit in it. In disorder, on the other hand, there is neither any specific condition nor any direction. In order, there is spontaneous creation, whereas in disorder, only destruction flourishes. This truth can be perceived clearly in every walk of life and every nook of the society. Haphazard routine not only ruins health but also gives birth to serious psychological problems. Even the school-going children and teenagers, not to speak of the adults, have become victims of these maladies. A disease like diabetes is not even sparing small children now. Miscellaneous studies point to only one factor as the root culprit. The lifestyle has become unbalanced, the daily routine has become chaotic. Sleep time is wasted in fun and frolic, while that for waking and working is spent in sleeping. This topsy-turviness has antagonized nature. Experts of human physiology as well as of human psychology are convinced that man will have to suffer the ill consequences of tampering with the biological rhythm ordained by nature. And this is exactly what is happening. If we have to salvage the situation, there is no alternative to reversing the inverted. This is the only solution which can bring modern life presently groping in the maze of wilderness back on the right tracks. There is an illuminating anecdote often related among the Vaishnav saint community. An elderly saint lived in Vrindavan, the dham or abode of Lord Krishna. Many among the wealthy and elite were his followers. They too suffered from the frailties which invariably develop from surfeit of money and power, but still they all possess sense of veneration for their guru. They would often ask their guru about the ultimate secret of life. The saint fenced the question with a laugh because he knew that the underlying spirit of the question was not genuine inquiry but mere curiosity. But one day the contrary happened. A true seeker asked the same question. In response, the guru became somber. He sent the seeker to the great saint Rup Goswami of Vrindavan with the instruction that if the aspirant could learn the essence of that saint's life, then he too would instruct him in the ultimate mystery of life. What the saint said was somewhat unusual, but the disciple had total faith in him. In pursuance of his guru's instruction, he remained with Rup Goswami for some time and then came back. When he bowed at the feet of his guru, the latter looked at him questioningly and asked, "Tell me, what is the essence of the life of Goswami ji? Tapa and Vrat." The disciple replied. The saint's face lit up with a sense of satisfaction, and he said, "Son, Tap and Vrat are the quintessence of not only Goswami's life, but the ultimate secret of everyone's life. When a person is able to bring order into his daily routine with the help of the formula of Tap and Vrat, every other thing, money, fame, power, respect, and spiritual glories become easily accessible to him. Tapa means to prevent the wastage of one's vigor and energy, and Vrat means to resolutely pursue the path of self-enlightenment. Those who are desirous of regulating their daily routine should get up before sunrise, prepare a schedule of the day's work, and fix one goal for every day. They should spend the entire day within the framework of this discipline and go to bed in the night immersing themselves in the remembrance of the merciful God." Some practical guidelines to a disciplined routine can be learned from the Sadhak's diary printed by Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya. This diary will help the sadhaks organize their routine and guide them into living a life of tap and vrat. It is important to keep in mind that the seed of wakefulness lies in sleep, so that the day is begun on the right note. Sleep should commence at the right time too. So that the day is begun on the right note, sleep should commence at the right time too. The diet also should be regulated because food impacts the entire course of life. Chapter 6. Hidbhuk, Midbhuk, Ridbhuk. O man, only those food articles are fit for consumption that make the body energetic and contented, that provide glow and comfort, and that makes the organ strong and fit for the performance of yajna. Do not ever stock and consume those herbs, food materials that sap the body's strength and produce lethargy and intoxication. The effect of food on the body is comprehensive. Be it physical health or mental well-being, both are intrinsically linked with food and keeps taking up and down swings depending on changes in it. It is a matter of common experience. Bad and irregular dietary habits make the body sick and the mind restless. If we were to enumerate the ill effects of rich, pungent, spicy and fried food, we'll have to list practically all the diseases because all of them have direct or indirect connection with food. The fashionable fast food, packed food or junk food of today also fall in the same category. This new style of eating, widely prevalent these days, has given many a body blow to the quality of human life. Food is a basic necessity of life. Everybody knows this, but few have an idea of what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. Let's first take the what to eat aspect. The only proper and right answer to this question is that we should eat only what provides nourishment to the body. It is important to remember that we eat to live and do not live to eat. So if the right kind of food is to be selected out of a long list of eatables, we will have to give preference to only those items that have nutritional value and are beneficial for health. Such articles can very easily be identified. Everybody is aware, for example, of the value of fresh fruits, vegetables, pulses, cereals, etc. Many cooking ingredients like pungent spices, appetizers, pickles, etc., lack any nutritive value and are manifestly harmful to health, and so are the processes of frying, stewing, etc. These render even healthy food useless and deleterious. Materials inimical to health are found not only in the kitchen but also outside, example liquor and intoxicants of various kinds, betel, tobacco, zarda, gutka, and so many other such things have acquired the status of food supplements and are used in a routine way. The situation has become so alarming that even the food habits of the elite of society make one wonder why these educated and well informed persons have lost their sense of wise discrimination. There are some exceptions, of course, in this class, but their number is negligible. Now, when to eat? Again, the answer is only one, twice a day at the most, and that too when the appetite has built up sufficiently. Eating randomly or taking frequent snacks and breakfast in addition to regular meals is going to do no good. Dietary habits these days have so much deteriorated that biologists and psychologists have made this matter a subject of their research. They classify hunger in different types. For example, strong craving to eat at the sight of others eating, frequent urge to eat during moments of tension, fixed time appetite in accordance with the biological clock, etc. The experts consider the former two types wrong and only the third type right. Now, having known that one should eat only when there is real appetite for it, there follows the next question: how to eat? The answer is that food should be taken in a quiet and restful manner with humble remembrance of God as His prasad, grace. If food is seen as God's prasad, even the simple chapati, unleavened bread, proves nourishing. On the contrary, sweetmeats, multi-course dishes, and dry fruits, if taken hurriedly and in fretful mood, impair health and produce ailments. The right food taken in the right manner is the key to sound health. The Ayurveda, ancient healing therapy, has an interesting and instructive story. Once it occurred to Maharishi Charak, the great pioneer of Ayurveda, that he should test whether his pupils understood correctly his teachings. He metamorphosed into a pigeon and sat on a tree, through under which many Vaidyas, healers, were passing by. The pigeon called out, Ko Ruk, Ko Ruk, Ko Ruk. Who is healthy? Who is healthy? Who is healthy? The Vaidyas paid no heed to pigeon's words. The Maharishi thought that either they did not comprehend what the tiny bird was saying or they were ignoring him. He flew from there and chose another tree. Incidentally, the great scholar Vagbhat was passing that way. He heard the query of Maharishi and replied repeatedly thrice. Hit bhuk, hit bhuk, hit bhuk. That is, healthy is one who eats the right type of food. Charaka turned pigeon asked again, Ko ruk, Ko ruk, Ko ruk. Vagdatta answered, Mit bhuk, mit bhuk, mit bhuk. That is, the one who eats in moderation. The bird repeated the question a third time. Vagbhatta's response this time was Rit bhuk, rit bhuk, rit bhuk. That is, one who eats according to season and what he has earned through righteous means. The bird flew away satisfied as his question had been answered correctly. 3 words or stipulations may be laid down about diet: hit, mit, and rit. Hitbhoji is one who consumes only those materials that are useful and beneficial for health. Such a person eats for health, not taste. Mitbhoji is that who eats in moderation. Gluttons cannot do any kind of sadhana. They remain preoccupied with finding digestive powders and tablets after meals. The third and most important stipulation about food is Rit. It implies piety and purity of thought and what is suitable in a particular season. The meaning of Rit inheres in the inner attitude with which the food is prepared and taken. What are the feelings of the person preparing the food? Whether or not the eaters are dutiful, and conscientious. Dutiful and conscientious. Writ food can be prepared only by one who is full of loving kindness and who is suffused with motherly affection. And then the means by which we earn our livelihood must also be righteous and honest. Remember, the more we extend our goodwill to others, the more our inner strength increases. If the food that goes into our stomach is sullied with others' feelings of deep hurt, it will corrupt our feelings too. The truth is, an evolution of the food habit is an evolution of consciousness. The nature of our consciousness is refined or perverted depending upon the nature of the food we consume. This very refinement or perversion is reflected in our style of living too. Thank you.